In the previous video, I mentioned how I'd have to lift the board up to check all the wire connections beneath. You can see here I've removed the electrolytics and done the first wave of cleaning of everything. And I went to put in a new terminal here, just like the old ones. I got the old solder off the old ones because it was really boogered up. And I'll be making it nice. And I need to run a wire from this point over to the bias connection here in the phase inverter. But looking at it, I could see that there was a wire coming up through this terminal already, even though nothing seems to be connected to it. And I wanted to lift the board up to check, and I couldn't lift it all the way. And I know, where'd it go? There are at least two like this that used to be connected, just tack soldered to the bottom of a turret. And when the turrets get heated, things just lift off like this or they break. So I need to examine every connection on the bottom of the board. To have the slack to do that, I need to pull all the pots off the front of the panel. In order to do that, I need to remove the knobs. Of all the knobs, only one would remove. The other set screws just will not budge, and they're brass, so there's only so much torque I can use on them without just chewing up the heads. And I suspect that some genius, maybe the same genius that put all the yuck in these pots and in the tube sockets, use super glue or some other adhesive. So I'm going to let that WD-40 I put on each nut just kind of seep around, just in case it's just rust or something. You know, if it's super glue, my options are more limited. Sometimes I just hate people. We'll see where I end up with that, but I gotta get those off to remove the pots so I can undo the brakes underneath the board. I went ahead and fixed that ground connection on that output tube socket. The grid connection here looks kind of ugly, and while the stock amp does not have it, they just go straight to here and here. Both these tubes would benefit from having grid stoppers added. It won't take away whatever intrinsic character this amp should have, but it will take away a lot of nastiness. You can see I've installed the new power cable already. I've not done the ground yet. Gotta put a ground lug here. I think I'm gonna do another ground lug right over here, both for this filter cap stage and for the HT center tap, and have that ground separate from everything else in the amp, because that is the noisiest ground in the amp, and that little bit of separation between that and everything else can only help. But just gonna wait for that WD-40 to do its job on the knobs, hopefully. Well, there's no movement on the damn knob front. Those set screws won't budge, and because of this acrylic plastic here, I don't want to try acetone. Maybe I won't need to do anything with the knobs or pots. Hopefully the pots don't need to be changed out or removed. But I was able to get this switch loosened so I can move some of the wires that were going around in the braid, the loom, and I can now see beneath the board to get out old stray wires and see where things used to go. And there's a bare wire, so it's probably going to ground somewhere. It'd be nice to know where, don't you think? So I've got some archaeology to do here and probably connect the dots. Can't do that while holding the lens, but part of the joy of all this. All right, to show this stuff, I had to bump the exposure up a lot. So we may hit something white and you guys get blinded. Sorry. There's a wire here, a little bit of its bare connector going to that eyelet, and it's really close to this bare wire there. And that bare wire is a ground, and this is a cathode connection. I think I need to, or actually a grid connection. I think I need to redo this properly because the wire is just not long enough. It's got too much strain on it. But we don't want that to ground out there and lose signal because this is a pain in the butt to access all this stuff. All right. All this stuff looks okay. But the build quality with these little solder spatulas that they've made right here and all down there, it's not my favorite. All right, one of those, the little spatulas that was loose that I showed you before was this wire. It's not as pretty as it will be when I'm done. This is the ground that ties, that's there for the phase inverter and screen node. That's a really crucial ground to have good. See if I can just focus better. And I've got it tucked in there with a little bit of solder. Once I get the new filter cap in place, because I'm going to be applying solder to this, then I'll make sure it's good. But I can't tuck this away, put the new cap in, and know that it's solid. This bare wire that I thought might have been ground, that's actually the connection to the phase inverter bias. And that's going over here. And I've got it tucked up in here at an angle, and then that solder cup. After I get the new components in place over here, I will verify that that is solid before I put it back. I've got to redo that white wire here because it's going to this eyelet here, and it's almost touching the bare wire here. Other than that, everything on the other side seems okay-ish. Told you about that exposure thing. The knobs are probably never going to come off without physically breaking the pot from the other side, which is really hard to do. If they're all these nylon shafts, it's possible to just smash up the pot from the other side and cut through things. But, you know, in all modesty, I'm 6'2", 240 pounds. I can pick up an SVT with one hand. I know because I do it all the damn time. If I can't turn the set screw on these knobs, something is really, really amiss. I mean, this thing acts like it's a jar of pickles or something. All right, it's not as lovely as I would prefer because of the angle I had to reach things at. But it's got enough slack, it's nowhere near that ground, and I reinforced those ground wires. So that grid connection will be good. And I'll trim it and put it to the tube in a little bit. I put these two brown connections back where they go. And then I think I'll be done for today with this amp.